Since public money is mixing very good with the private money, PODIM Challenge presents an incredible opportunity for our startup entrepreneurs looking for either private venture capital investment or feedback from the best serial entrepreneurs and mentors. I would kindly invite our 10 distinguished guests, investors, mentors, and serial entrepreneurs to join me on the stage to hear the pitches. So please, could you come up? Ash, Matevž, Max, Jure, Oliver, Rumen, one big applause, please. Well, we improvised with the stage a little bit. We wanted to make it like a pub, so it's not so formal, and the startup entrepreneurs won't be so stressful. It looks a little bit more like a wedding, but since investing in a startup is a wedding between between investor and startup entrepreneur, this has a symbolical meaning. So one more applause, please, for all our investors and successful mentors. Okay, writing a check on the stage is not easy. I totally agree. Therefore, we find two solutions. The first one, you will get a glass of whiskey, so you can, relax and easily write a check. And the second thing on the table, you have green and red cards. After every pitch, green card means hot, I want to have a meeting with the startup, and red card means not, I'm totally not interested. Okay? So you will be voting, and since the PODIM Challenge is also a challenge, we have prepared some awards that the best startups will get. The startups to obtain the highest number of green cards will be declared winner of the PODIM Challenge. Besides the moral award of the winner, they will get a free ticket for the whole team to tomorrow's whole day workshop with Ash. So they will have an opportunity to learn from the best and to boost and build their startup really fast. Then the second award. One of the 6 presented startups will receive a €5,000 voucher for a product design or corporate identity design. This prize is provided by renowned design company Giga Design and its design accelerator. Matevž, where are you? Okay, Matevž, one of the investors on the stage, will select one company that will get the voucher for €5,000. Well, it's not only about design, it's also about the sales. So sales is as important as design it is in a startup. Therefore, we have another voucher for €1,300 for analysis of sales success factors and the selected sales development program. The prize is provided by the Mercury International Global Sales Consultancy Company. Davor Fapčić, CEO of Mercury International Slovenia, here in the first row, will select one winner who will get the voucher. But I suppose pitching to such renowned names isn't easy, and it takes a lot of courage. To break the ice for all the 6 entrepreneurs, I will ask every of our guests one question so that they can see that these are really good, renowned investors and that we don't have here a Dragon's Den or Shark Tank, but the people who are eager to help young entrepreneurs. Max, I would start with you. You have a microphone on the table. I won't go to the basics like what kind of ideas investors look for. A little bit advanced questions. Now that we have all the metrics and you can build MVPs really fast, how important is an instinct, your personal instinct? This is a good idea compared to the metrics. For example, if you think this could be a really good idea, but there is no metrics, no market proof compared to something that it's not even sexy or cute to you, but they have a really good metrics. So should a startup do a research on the investor, okay, they might like our idea, or they should show you the metrics. So how do you see these two things?
It's actually a very good question. Thanks for that, Blaž. Metrics are very important. If an entrepreneur doesn't know their numbers, it's usually a very bad sign. What I personally look for, and that's a very challenging thing, I always look at personality. I really believe in people who break stuff, who can really stand out and go on and become successful. So for me, personality is very important. A lot of the theory, a lot of the factual stuff can be fixed and can be learned, but personality is something you grow. And when I look at the companies that I work with, the ones that we invest in, the ones that we mentor, are the ones what I'm looking at is exceptional personality, the desire to actually get to the next level to solve problems. So that's for me very, very important.
Okay, cool, thank you. If anyone has something to add, please just nod or raise your hand. Okay, let's go further. Ash, you teach lean approaches. You have written a book about that. When you see a team, okay, what if they have no clue about the lean? Can they still succeed? Or, for example, if you would be investing and your instinct will be, okay, that could be a good idea, but they have no clue how to build lean, they have just written the business plan and they're going to the market with the egoistic assumptions, we are definitely right.
Sure. So I would say that there are no silver bullets. I don't claim to say that lean is the only way to build something successful. And that's one of the things that in the workshop, it's the first thing to put out there. There's no guarantee of success. If there was, I wouldn't be teaching it. I would be investing in my own startups only. So at the same point, the other side of it is that lean, I don't see as it being necessarily teaching you a new methodology. I find a lot of seasoned entrepreneurs, investors that have built successful companies come down to certain best practices on lessons learned over decades sometimes. And so it's really a way of short-circuiting what ultimately works at the end. And so it's a collection of best practices, if anything. So that's how I'd characterize it.
Okay. And how fast can these techniques be learned? Like, for example, if you have a team with potentially really good product, but they don't know about these techniques, is it better to be lean from the beginning? Or they can, learn these methodologies really fast and change the way they're trying to build their company?
Sure. So to answer your question directly, it is possible to incorporate some of these techniques at any point. So in some of my consulting, I work both with startups with just an idea. So these are even sometimes single founders with a day job wanting to start something, all the way to Fortune 500 companies, big established companies that either have existing products or new ideas that they want to go test out. So it is possible to inject this kind of customer-based learning or customer validation at any stage of that product life cycle.
Okay. At some point, you have to come from MVP to a great shiny product, and you teach companies how to build a product. What are the general guidelines besides listening to feedback from your customers? What would you say are the main things the startup must be aware when building the product?
Sure. So I would characterize, being lean or one of the essence of even building any successful product is tackling what's riskiest in your business model. So removing constraints per unit time. So speed's important, learning is important, and by learning, I am a lot talking about customer-based learning. So whether that's more qualitative-based, so you're actually getting feedback through conversations, or whether that is metrics-based. But either, however you get that learning should also be focused. So there are points where you should be focused on scaling aspects like channels and distribution. Other times you have to get the product right. So I cannot give a very specific answer because a lot of that changes with the stage of the product and the team.
Okay. When we spoke yesterday, you said that it's easier to start the new startup with lean techniques when you failed once. Why is that? Why do you think it's?
Yeah, so being lean is fundamentally about being efficient with resources. And so the other way of characterizing it is using this word waste, which comes from the original lean thinking. You have to be able to recognize waste. And you can't really recognize waste unless you've been wasteful once before. So it's a lot like going into a casino and winning your first round. We think we're bulletproof. We think there's something special about us. You invest in the stock market and you make money. So we think there's something about that, but it only takes time for the market to self-correct. So I find that those that are most open to looking at the lean approach are those that have been wasteful in some way in the past. It doesn't take a lot of time, but it's just getting that correction to set in.
Okay, one more question, and then we move on. Your book, Running Clean, was today published in the Slovenian language. One big applause, please. You will hear more about it tomorrow in the morning. You can get the book on the conference. You can buy it. A short pitch: why to read this book? Why to buy it?
Oh, why? Well, so I will just come out and say, and this is how I introduce myself, and I will do this again tomorrow, is that I'm first and foremost an entrepreneur. So I wrote this book not with an intention of writing a book. I was just sharing my own lessons learned along the way. So it's a very practical how-to book. I was assimilating lots of these best practices out there, and people will tell you all kinds of conflicting stuff, like, you know, pay customers, don't pay customers, listen to them, don't listen to them. And so I decided to test a lot of these things, and that's what is kind of summarized in this book over years of building products. Some worked, some didn't work, trying to find a repeatable process to go from an initial idea to something that can potentially work and scale. That's what that book kind of encompasses.
Great.
Thank you.
All the startups that will pitch will also get one book as a gift. But let's move on now. Matevž, ideas are dime a dozen. MVPs, prototypes, customer development are hard and cool. Part of that is also design thinking, and rapid prototyping. There's so many buzzwords. The fact is that today is almost no product without a great design. You know, when we see a product, we want it to be sexy, to have a great design, to have a good user experience. And if there is not an experience for us, something new, our intention just goes away. How important is design to get market traction in the whole beginning? You know, should MVPs be sexy or not? How much should you focus on the design in the beginning?
Yeah, okay, we have to get one thing clear. There's no such thing as no design. There's just good design or bad design.
Okay.
Everything should be designed one way or another, so you cannot avoid the design. This is something that you must know. And then, UX or user experience became quite a buzzword lately, but user-centric approach is in the core of design, has been in the core of design for like forever. So it's nothing new. Design methods are completely applicable to lean process and to startup development.
Okay. When you see a team and there are potentially investment opportunity for you, what do you look regarding the design? Do they need a user experience guy, or they need just to be aware that they need a good design and they I don't know, they're good at it, or they have a big hole in the design? Do you see a designer, a hustler, an important part of the startup team?
Well, hustler definitely. Hustler is probably more important than designer. We can take care for design if we invest in such a company. So other functions in the team are much more important, like marketing, sales, hustling if you want. But most important is that the team know what they're doing, that they understand the customer, their needs, the market, the ways to deliver the value for the customer. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mark, I have a question for you. You showed us the logo you paid a lot for and didn't work. Can we, from a personal perspective, judge design, or we have to test it on the market like everything else? Like the owl was cute for me. I didn't see it as, I don't know, not a sexy design or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you get a sense of design the longer you do it, and you kind of know what's going to work and what doesn't. I mean, remember Apple, which most people think is one of the best product design companies in the world, doesn't user test, right? They release things and they have a philosophy on it, and they sort of they know ahead of time. You know, on the other hand, I think that key to design is just knowing what your goals are, knowing what your users' goals are, and designing around those. And testing can, help to enlighten you to what some of those goals are. But at the end of the day, being really clear about what your product goals are and who your users are is going to serve you a lot better than doing a lot of testing and whatnot.
Okay, when you totally rewritten and redesigned the product from zero, did you have any metrics you considered into the new design, or you started like as a new product totally?
No, I think we did two things. One is that I think we had some ideas about problems that the product had. So earlier I talked about discovery of new categories. It was a massive challenge in the product. And we thought about ways we could solve it in the current product, and we just decided that anything we did would sort of latch on a lot of these new features that still wouldn't be used and didn't solve this underlying problem of the product of new category discovery. Now, on the other hand, we had really good metrics set up in the first version of Zeit. So that means that there are metrics that we didn't want to tank. There's metrics that we wanted to improve. And there was a lot of user knowledge that we gained from those metrics. So I think that, as you're designing a new product, part of it is looking backwards. I would call it feedback, right? That's the sort of things that when you're looking at metrics and trying to figure out how to get better. But there's also a component of feed forward. That is, what metrics am I not looking at right now that I ought to be looking at? And what new features do I need to be adding into the product that improve it?
Okay. Let's move now from ideas and design to team. In your talk, you talked a lot about company culture. Max mentioned how personality is important. How did you build the dream team? I mean, what was the main thing that drew the right people into your startup? Was it your charisma, your idea, your vision, or stock option plan? What do you think is the most important when you try to get people from big corporations like Apple? What will do the switch in their mind? Okay, I want to do it.
I mean, I think that for any company, your biggest marketing tool is your product itself. That is, people want to work on a great product, and if you have a great product, people want to work on it. My lead iOS engineer, my lead front-end engineer, she actually came from Apple, and the reason she found us was she started looking for startups that had really great apps, and she would use the app and then decide if she wanted to apply. And she said after an hour of using Zeit, she realized that it might be the place for her. So definitely your product itself is a marketing tool, but also as people came through the process, obviously, again, competence, intelligence is important, but passion about the space. Like, can you really get someone excited about changing the way news is consumed? And then that culture fit is really important. That is, the stronger your team culture is, the better you are at attracting people with that kind of mindset. And it gets easier and easier as you get more people, because part of what people want to be a part of is that team and that culture.
Okay. And how important are values in a team? Like when you build a team, you had similar values, similar, I don't know, do no evil, we want to do something good, we don't want to be a bad, aggressive, greedy company. Like, how important are values in a startup? And if you have one rotten apple, one that is not really, that doesn't fit in the whole team, but is maybe competent and everything else, can a person ruin the culture in the company and drag it down?
Oh, especially in a small team, a single person can bring the entire team down. I think that we made mistakes before and they were corrected one way or another, but the cost of making a mistake, the cost of bringing in a person who doesn't fit in with your team culture is far worse than leaving that position unfilled. And it's easy to think, oh crap, I need an Android developer right now, so I'm going to hire one right now. And we waited a really long time for an awesome Android developer, and probably longer than we should have. But I'm really glad we did, because when we finally found one, he was awesome, and he really fit in well, and he really added a lot to the team. And just the detriment of having a bad person on your team is terrible.
So you agree with the philosophy, hire slow, fire fast, hire A people because they will hire A people, and you don't want to have a company full of bozos and so on?
Absolutely, and I don't think I appreciated it so much as when I was actually doing the hiring and firing as head of Zeit. Like with other companies, with PowerSet, we had 60 amazing people. A third of them were PhDs, one of the smartest teams I've ever worked with. But someone else was doing the hiring, so I just sort of, I figured that was always how it worked. But once you're at the head of the company and you actually have to make these decisions, and those hiring and firing decisions really affect the rest of your team, it becomes much more personal. So yeah, I definitely... A players, keep them awesome, hire fast, fire quickly, hire slow, fire quickly. All that stuff.
Cool, thanks. Franco, you're from Italy, you're a great salesman. Let's talk about different roles in a team. We have development people, we have sales people. Especially in this part of Europe, Eastern Europe, we see a lot of teams with great development people, but they lack sales. Or we see vice versa, like strong salespeople, we're going to rule the world, we're going to do, I don't know, whatever, and they don't have a real product in the development team. When you're looking for teams you invest to, they need to have, both sides covered, or you're prepared to, give them some time to build a whole team, etc.
Thank you for the question. My boat is in Trieste, that is very nearby, and sometimes I race. So the boat has different expertise on board. I am the skipper, somebody is looking at the mainsail, somebody is looking at the strategy, but the speed of the boat is one. So it doesn't matter if you have a good developer, if you have a good sailor, if you have a good administrative, the speed of the team must be the same. So the values, the cultures must be absolutely the same. You have one moment when finance is more important than product development. But that's a moment when everybody must help preparing numbers, believing in numbers, looking for funds. The result is one. If you don't have the culture of the team, is meaningless.
Okay. Yesterday when we met, it was obvious in a second that you are a really great salesman. Where did you learn to sell? I mean, is it on the streets or from the books or?
Eventually.
Or is it Italian culture or?
Eventually, like I used to say, as an angel, I help to build up a new startup. I help. But the DNA for an entrepreneur is DNA. Sometimes the DNA for a salesman is DNA. So it's getting out with sweating and smiling. Of course, I try to buy Ash's book. For your information, if you go to Amazon, there is just one book left. So I try to buy. So learning through experience, networking, and whatsoever helps in sales, helps in sharing culture. Books, theory is important. Maybe white mustache. It means something.
Okay, thank you. Ash, I have a question for you regarding development team and salespeople. Lean philosophy, it's a lot about getting customer feedback and customer discovery, etc. Do the process do better engineers or economists and business people? I mean, it's a scientific approach. You have to be engineer in a mind, but you also have to go out of the building, to get to the customers. Who usually does customer discovery process? Development team or salespeople?
Sure. So I would say that in a smaller team, especially if it's cross-functional, you can get that responsibility shared across everyone. Now, there are definitely people who have better skills at talking to customers, but it doesn't mean that the developers shouldn't piggyback. Even if they go in and observe what happens, it's important to have that knowledge back. So I have lots of examples of how just bringing the customer voice back, so people that even go out and do usability tests or do customer interviews, recording those conversations and bringing it back makes it more real than that same person coming back and summarizing the information. The other side of that is that I feel that these are soft skills. They are uncomfortable, and that's what a lot of Lean is about, going to what Franco said. Ultimately, there's a system that you're building that's going to crank out happy customers on the other end, and your team has to work together, and any bottleneck in that team is going to affect the overall throughput of that system. So you have to understand where the constraints are and figure out how you alleviate them, and that's more like scaling and internal team building.
Okay, thanks. We're not going to talk about valuations today, but I have a question because I read somewhere on the internet, so it must be true, that in Silicon Valley there's a big plus on valuation for every engineer and a big minus for every economist. So is it true, Mark? Maybe, I mean, you deal with the investors, etc. Do in Silicon Valley investors prefer engineers and product people before salesmen and economists and so on?
Yeah, I mean, I think I do too. I mean, I've seen founding teams where it's 2 MBAs, and I think that's a really dangerous founding team. No offense to MBAs out there, or on the stage even. But I think balance is really important in a founding team, for example. Engineers can be great business people, but they can be terrible business people. Business people can be very knowledgeable about technology, like me. I'm very knowledgeable about technology, even though I can't myself code. And I think that balance on the team is really important. You need a user voice, you need a technical voice, you need a business voice. And those can come from the same person or they can come from different people, but having some dialogue on a founding team I think is critical in order to make sure that you can get past a lot of the challenges you're going to have.
Okay, thanks. Now let's go from team to capital and strategy. Jure, I have a question for you. Entrepreneurs expect miracles from investors, money and then opening the doors, and they think that when signing the term sheet, everything will just boost off and they will be successful. But what are realistic expectations? What to get? We always talk about smart money. What really means? I mean, you're not in day-to-day operations with the company. You cannot do miracles. You can help them, but probably there's a limited number of ways how you can help them.
Yeah, when we start to do daily operations with a company, that means that something is really wrong with that company. What entrepreneur can expect out, from this relationship with the investor is first money, of course. Otherwise, they wouldn't come to us probably. But then the entrepreneurs have to know what's our investment strategy, what are our strengths, who are the people that we know. So they know that if they raise money from us, they can be introduced to those people there. They can be introduced to those co-investors in the later stage rounds. So, that's probably the most important part of that smart money. If you want to have, investor, if you're active in the media space, it's better to have investor who is already, who has invested in media space, who has people from media space, who has a lot of experience in that field. It makes no sense to go to the investor that has on their webpage references from B2B in case if you have like B2C product. It's I mean you can of course, but the probability of successful raising is much lower there.
Okay, thank you. You invested in one of the most successful companies here, Ciltra, and they raised another round in US, and they're growing really fast. But we don't see many cases like that here. Why do you think? I mean, where are the barriers that we see many startups, many people start companies now, but getting into the beginning of the growth is really, really hard, and then especially raising another round on American market. Do you think it's because, I don't know, people are not prepared to move there, or they're not aggressive enough, or we still don't have enough success cases to show how to do it? What do you think are the biggest barriers?
Well, first of all, I don't think we have, we don't have successes from the region. We have successes. We had Layer last year as the winner of TechCrunch Disrupt. We had Zemant in the past. We have Ciltra. We have Databox now. We've got a lot of companies that are successful on the global scale as well. And if you look at the stats, probably, if you look at all the startups in US and the percentage of those that get any kind of external funding, if you compare this to Slovenian stats, I think you should come to very similar numbers. The problem that the challenge that we see here is that, people have very strong technology skills, not so strong selling skills, business development skills. The number of venture funds is not so high as in some hubs in New York or Silicon Valley. But I mean, we have to understand that this is a new industry here in the region. It's not. We started in 2007. We were extremely lucky to make this investment in 2009. Of course, we did other investments as well, not just this one. But we have to be patient here. It cannot happen in 5 or 10 years to have a startup ecosystem like in Tel Aviv or Silicon Valley.
Okay. What about big companies which usually acquire small companies, etc.? Do you see any change in the business approach and the general mentality of the CEOs running big companies, that they are starting to acquiring small companies, or there will be much more to do in the region, you know, with our blue chips, etc.?
Which blue chips?
Okay.
No, I think Europe in general has a problem with exit market, because simply exits in US are so much bigger than in Europe, and the companies, big companies in US are growing primarily through acquisitions, while here in the region, big companies have, I don't think their strategies are in this way, that they would just, you know, be growing through other verticals, through acquiring smaller companies.
Okay.
We're not just there yet.
Thanks. Max, I have a question for you, since you are a lawyer and venture capitalist. First, I wanted to ask you, could some venture capitalists be evil? But let's put that beside. Should a startup hire a lawyer when negotiating with the investor? Would you recommend, you know, hire the best lawyers, even for a small angel investment, or is reading on the internet what are general term sheets and what that means enough?
Yeah, that's a very good question. You know, generally yes. I've seen a number of deals that are slightly more complicated than, you know, face value. Then it's almost always recommended to use a lawyer. You know, in the early stage investment scene, there has been a movement to standardizing of terms. And when it's a straightforward situation, when you know it's an accelerator offering really relatively standard terms, there isn't much to negotiate about. It's all happening within a single jurisdiction. There are no angels involved from different jurisdictions. Then probably it's a good idea to save some money, not do very extensive legal due diligence. Although any legal advice which is qualified and competent is actually welcome. I would say that, you know, based on my own experience fundraising for my company when I was running a startup, also participating in deals that involve investors from different countries. And here, you know, in Eastern Europe, we are very easily having investors from different countries. You know, even if you take an investment from Oliver's fund, which is Austria, which is next door, it's still a completely different jurisdiction. Basically, yes. In most cases, it does serve well to take a lawyer.
Okay. So entrepreneurs should have really professional approach, you know, do a background check on the investor, find a lawyer when they are in negotiations, etc. It shouldn't be like, okay, every investor is a good guy, they're going to help us and do miracles.
The interests are different, right? Well, my advice to startups would be to make sure you have a lawyer that really understands, you know, this kind of stuff. So it's definitely not every lawyer. People with experience, and also make a lawyer have your lawyer have skin in the game as well. So it should definitely not be, you know, enormous fees up front. There are many lawyers that work with startups that, you know, also take compensation based on success. Some lawyers even take equity, which, you know, it's a whole different discussion. But basically, you see more and more lawyers, not only in the United States, where it's an old industry to do venture law, but also more and more in Europe that do it very well.
Okay, thanks. Oliver, a question for you. You have the word speed in your VC fund name. Does it mean that you invest really fast? You know, you just write a check and okay, that's it? Or your opinion, what's the realistic time frame to make the investment? I mean, usually it was, even for the seed startups, half a year, you know, from the first contact to getting the investment. Did the process speed up, or what's your speed? How fast do you do the investment?
So we are very fast with no's, which I think is important, because a lot of venture funds actually drag out the no when they already know that they're not going to invest, and just keep asking for more information, and that's an ugly thing. We try to be very fast in moving the formal processes, and I don't know if you read the book Thinking Fast and Slow. At the end of the day, you have to be very fast on certain things and very slow on others, and that's so we try to make a very distinct due diligence, basically taking our startups that we're interested in to customers, to partners, to interesting people that we know, and this is our due diligence. This can be done very fast, actually, and then we move on.
Cool. Well, the first step for every entrepreneur is to contact the investor. What is, in your opinion, the best approach? Is it email, conferences like this, recommendations? If you look at your portfolio, how did the entrepreneurs that get the money contact you usually?
If you're really honest, I think 80% of our investments actually came through somebody we knew. So it's unfair, but social proof is important, and somebody that you trust gives you a recommendation. That's a massive plus. So
Okay.
try to do that. Even if this person doesn't know you really well, it still helps. Yeah. So.
Okay. And what do you think about the philosophy, look for advice and you will get the money, look for money and you will get the advice?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of these quick sayings, and none of them matter, I think. Really. Yes, it's true, but at the end of the day, you have to convince that person in front of you in very few, basically in 1 or 2 moments. And if you do that, then you're onto something. And if somebody tries to come up with ask for advice, you immediately smell that. VCs smell these things quickly.
Okay. Thanks. Jan? You have invested in the company IPTV Beat, founded by Slovenian entrepreneur Robert Farazin. Could you please explain your view on geographical boundaries regarding venture capital? Is it hard to invest outside your own country? You know, since Europe is so fragmented, how hard is it to do cross-border investments or investments in companies outside where you are based?
I think there are several aspects of cross-border investing, and I think the key factor is actually you have to know the market, the people, and the situation, and you have to know also the verticals you're investing in, and that's the most important. From the legal perspective, I don't see a difference investing in Europe because we all use standardized jurisdictions anyway. So it can be very easily solved. So much more important is to know the people, the situation in the market, and then the borders just don't matter.
Okay, but where do you usually fund the company? I mean, from the beginning, in the US or UK or in the country where you are based, does it matter or it doesn't matter at all?
No, we don't invest worldwide. As Oliver said, most of the companies that we invested in are founded by people that we know. Therefore, to know these people, we are limited to a region which we call Central and Southeastern Europe. That covers our home market, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and we go to the southeast. So Slovenia is in our region that we invest in. We try to follow the market. We try to meet as many people as possible. That's why I'm here today, obviously. But we would not go to the US for many reasons for investment. The primary reason would be that there's enough capital in the US, so why should a US company fundraise in Eastern Europe? What added value Eastern European VC could add?
Okay, thanks. We're running out of time. Rumen, I have 2 questions for you. Now we have business angels, subsidies, venture capital funds, and many business accelerators. Could you defend accelerators? Why are they better than individual investors or VC funds? Is it the mentoring program? Is it more, same terms, investing really fast? When people are deciding, should they contact accelerator or individual investors? Why should they choose accelerators?
Okay, Balázs, thanks for the question. Well, there are different stages at each startup is unique by itself, right? And as the startup founders should be on the wheel of the boat, right? They should be also deciding which passengers, because at the end of the day, investors are more like passive passengers. They're not actively running the company, to take on board with them and share the ride. So for each stages, I guess there is a proper investor. I don't think that one is better than the other. And at the end of the day, a few years ago, at this region, there were no funds, there were no angels, and the entrepreneurs were the ones doing everything by themselves. Now the chances of getting funding are a little bit bigger. There are more opportunities. There are angels, there are seed funds, there are accelerators. There are many players in the game. And it's very difficult to say that one is better than the other. I mean, the company should be able to decide at this stage of development they are now, what will work best for them. And research, of course, what each fund is offering. For example, there are accelerators that are asking you to come to co-working spaces. There are others that don't ask you to come. There are some with mentoring programs, some that are not doing this. Some are trying to bridge the gap to the US. Others are basically having success stories and probably, or companies with the same field or mentors in the areas you would like to go as an entrepreneur. So I guess research, at least the people or the accelerators or the funds or the angels you would like to do business with, and then select, these 5 are my top pick, These are my second pick. And if nothing happens, but I still need the money, I go to those guys and then start speaking with them.
Okay, the last question. We often hear from investors that there is a lack of good projects on the market. You're doing a great job with your accelerator, attracting people from the whole region. What's your secret? I mean, we're trying to attract startups now in Slovenia, so could you give us some dirty details, you know?
Sorry, but since you're mentioning accelerator for the second time, I have to correct you a bit because LAUNCHub is more of a mini seed fund. So basically the average deal is 100,000 and more, up to 200,000. So acceleration stage deals we do, sometimes by gut feeling, we give 30,000 to someone, or 50, but this is not the main. Okay, yes, as an investor in startups, and I think my colleagues would agree, the deal flow and being able to invest in the best companies is what's crucial, right? And I think we don't have the luxury, as some colleagues may have, to have the track record in the past and sit in their offices, probably in the Silicon Valley, and wait for the companies to approach them. Here in this region, we take more proactive approach, and this is why actually we're traveling so much in the region, and we're happy to have basically Slovene teams and Croatian teams and the whole Balkan teams basically presented this in our portfolio. And basically, we have to be active. I think this is what distinguishes the European to American investors. And good teams are hard to find.
Thank you all for the very useful answers and insight into venture capital. One big applause, please. Well, now it's time for the second part of PODIM Challenge, pitching. Now I'm definitely sure that we don't have a Dragon's Den on stage or Shark Tank, but a group of great people, and it must be a big blessing to have either of them on board as investor or mentor. But that said, thank God that I'm not pitching on the stage. The first company that is, based on alphabetical order, is called Chipolo. So, one applause. Today. Okay, you have 5 minutes. Okay, now the whiskey arrived, so you can really relax. You have 5 minutes for the presentation and 5 minutes for Q&A. And here you have the timer. After 5 minutes, please stop. Okay, and the floor is yours.
Do you hear me? Hello, do you hear me? Okay, thanks. Hi, my name is Tadej, and I'm the co-founder of a company called Geatronic. I would like to start to think about the world we came from. It's hard for me to imagine, but probably most of us in here had a PC that was probably running a Windows, and now we have all kind of stuff, right? We have these days all kind of stuff like PCs, smartphones, tablets, all kinds of keys, home keys, hard keys, and it's hard for us to keep track of all this stuff. So what we're trying to do is to solve all these problems. Did you know that average person spends 10 minutes per day searching for their lost or misplaced belongings? And if we multiply that with the number of days in year, we can see that each and every of us spent more than almost 3 days per year looking for our stuff. It's just crazy, right? It's strange, but technology is this thing that should make our life easier, make things better. So our company is here to help. Our mission is to take care of all this stuff that we are looking for and make things simpler again. So we created this thing called Chipolo. Chipolo is a Bluetooth item finder for a smartphone that helps you locate your belongings. You can attach it virtually to anything, your keys, your laptop, your phone, your tablet, your wallet, you name it. And Chipolo comes in 9 beautiful colors, and it's very small and thin and beautifully designed. But most important for us is that Chipolo is supported on 2 bigger platforms, which is iOS and Android. And very soon it will be supported on the 3rd major platform, which is Windows Mobile. So we take a really good care to create Chipolo that is as friendly to the environment as possible. So the casing and the packaging is fully recyclable, and the most important to us is that Chipolo is made locally in Slovenia. And we have this cool feature too. If you are looking for a misplaced phone, you just shake Chipolo and your phone will start to ring. So even if it's in silent mode. Last year we ran a Kickstarter campaign. And we are happy that more than 5,000 people backed our project. In January, Chipolo won a Best Promotional Gift Award. It was featured on Fox News and reviewed by TechCrunch. But most important to us is that more than 90% of Chipolos out there are in daily use. And that's why we are building and developing a Chipolo network. With Chipolo network, it's like having the rest of the world help you find what you are looking for. So Chipolo is currently available on our online store, and we have a partnership with Austria Telecom Group. Chipolo is currently available in Slovenia in C-Mobile retail stores, and it will be soon available in all retail stores owned by Austria Telecom Group. We are also closing the deals with our distributors from Germany, Russia, Italy, and more. As you might see, our revenue model currently, all the revenues comes from selling the hardware. But our business model will change with the introduction of the Chipolo network. It will basically be the subscription model. Up to date, we have sold more than 30,000 units, and that means 350,000 euros in revenue. Our projection plan for this year is to sell more than 150,000 units, and that is around 2 million euros in revenue. So let's take a look at this market. How big is this market? As you may see, last year it was sold just about 1 billion smartphones out there. And that means that it's a giant market. So that's why we will support all three major platforms. But that also tells you there's gonna be a competition. As a matter of fact, the competition already exists. So there's gonna be a lot of players, but we think we have the best item finder in the world. So everything we do as a team, we believe to think differently. The way we think differently is to creating our products beautifully designed, cross-platform supported, and user-friendly. We just happen to make the best item finder in the world. So today we are looking for an active investor who can help us grow our business. Thanks.
Thank you. One applause. You are right on time. Do we have any questions? Okay, questions. We have 5 minutes for questions. Okay, Mark.
So I'm just guessing the Chipolo network is if your item is out of range from your phone, but there are other people who have Chipolo on their phone, they can help you find it?
That's correct, and we're building something even more. People do not have to own the Chipolo as a hardware. We will connect our Chipolo network. If my item is lost, I can tell this via Chipolo app, which is available for free, to my Facebook and Twitter friends that my item is lost. So my Facebook friends and my Twitter friends, all they have to do is download the app and live their lives as usual. And if they will come in the range of my lost item, the coordinates of my item will be pushed to my phone.
That's a fantastic marketing strategy too, in addition. I mean, it's cool as a business, but I think what you hit there is it's also a potential marketing strategy too, which is kind of neat.
Thanks. Franco?
Question, what do you want from us?
We are looking for a capital to...
How much?
Currently, we are looking for $1 million in exchange for 20% equity of our company.
So your valuation now is 5 million.
Yeah, that's correct. We will do in this year. We will do in this year. Our projection for this year is in sales about 2 million.
Okay.
Talk tonight.
Any other question?
Just, can you give us an example of the usual use cases? I mean, the usual items or the typical item that people attach the Chipolo to.
Yeah, what is great about Kickstarter, you know, is that you have feedback even when you ship all the units, and you have a great feedback. And we created a great network about our backers. So the main usual thing is wallet, and then it's keys, and after that it's kits.
Okay, Oliver?
Maybe a quick remark. I would completely focus on the network part. If you start with a Bluetooth item finder, I totally you lose me, because there I've seen like 10, 15 companies like that. So you really have to find a way to differentiate yourself and to make yourself interesting beyond this little chip, because it's not interesting. But the network aspect that you brought up, especially answering to your question, that is interesting. And so speak about that next time.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
And I was just going to add on to that. I completely agree that I felt that the problem that you led with was just not strong enough. 10 minutes in a day, it just doesn't. People sleep 8 hours a day, so that didn't really connect. But when you talk about finding lost things that are beyond my reach, that all of a sudden becomes interesting. So I think the value proposition there can be made stronger if you focus more on that route. And also this differentiation.
Thanks for that suggestion, but currently we are not 100% focusing when pitching on the network because it's still in the development stage, and our projection is to launch it in September.
Okay.
If I could ask a question, follow-up one on differentiation. How does this compare to some of the other projects that are well-known, like Estimate? Is it a different need, or is the technology slightly different than for instance, Estimate?
Yeah, the most important differentiation from other is that we already fully support Android and iOS, because all our competitors focus mainly on iOS because Apple has great support for Bluetooth stuff, But Android, it's...
Not a good answer.
Sorry?
Not a good answer. It takes 2 months to develop an Android app, so that is not a good answer.
Yeah, that's correct, but the Android does not have support. As we know, there are a lot of smartphones that are running different kind of versions of Android, and that's why we have a fully support of Android devices, So, but the major thing is that we are 100% on supporting the third major player, which is Windows Mobile. So this is our main thing.
Okay, Jan, you wanted to...
Yeah, I want to elaborate a bit more on the network. So at what number of devices sold the network have a chance to start working?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
What number of devices you have to have in the market so that the network has a chance to start really working?
Okay. Yes, we will roll out this by the popularity of the territories that Chipolo is. Currently, our two major territories are Japan and west part of the US. So, and of course Slovenia, because it's small and we have a lot of fans here. Thanks. So basically, this will be our rollout, to start. And to really, because the network can be done if there's not enough Chipolos out there. But like I said, we are developing the feature that our users will not have to own the hardware itself. So it's basically going to be the rest of your world or your friends, Facebook and Twitter and etc. will help you find your stuff.
Okay, thanks. And now the voting. The green doesn't mean investment. It means you can help the startup with advice, with some contact. We will organize one-on-one meetings after the PODIM challenge and in the evening. But please now the voting. So green for yes, red for no. Okay, please. Okay, my assistant will sum up the votes. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now the second startup. Edgartells. You want to get investors even more drunk? Oh, that's not going to work, man. That's not a good strategy. Okay. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, guys.
Oh, sorry.
There.
Just a second. A book today. Where's today?
Where are you?
Okay.
The book is here.
A book.
The wine
Special award. Thanks. Okay, and now begin.
Okay. Hello, my dears. Since we are in Maribor, I simply feel like I have to tell you the story about wine, because it's a wine country and a wine city. So here I have, it's a bit awkward to show, but here I have 2 bottles. This one is actually quite expensive. It's well known. It's called Muscat. It's a wine that grows in most parts of Europe. And this one, I'll just put this one down. This one is quite special. It's produced only by a selected few winemakers in Slovenia, and it's called Zelen. And now the question to all of you is, which one would you buy? And the question is, why? And before you answer, I think I know the answer. And my name is Damjan, and I know the answer because I was a creative director and then ran my own design studio for 7 years. So brands like this one here, they hired us to tell their story. But they paid a lot, but it didn't make us happy because this one works. Because guys like this one, this is actually the winemaker of this lovely wine, which is far better than this one. They could not afford us or anyone to tell their story properly. And they're not alone. There's other makers, crafters, SMEs with great products no one else knows about. And don't get me wrong, they still pay a fortune for a piece of content like a website, but they don't have the skills nor the resources to maintain their presence. So what happens is this. This is our friend Drago, the winemaker. This is him struggling on his not-so-awesome website, and this is him sending inefficient Facebook messages that don't reach anyone outside his local community. That's a true story. And if you think he's alone, he's not. Crafters, makers, winemakers alone make a $70 billion market. We validated that for 2 months in the States. And it is a market that is growing like crazy. Etsy, for example, by staggering 70% yearly. And sadly, it is a market that's hugely underserved. 80% of those lovely businesses have bad or no online presence at all. What this means is that our lovely wineries often go out of business. And this irritated us, and this is why we created Edgar, a tool to help those small businesses get the exposure they deserve and to help every one of us to tell visual stories with an impact. The numbers immediately proved us right. Compared to Chipolo, we launched only this February, but we have more than 1,000 registered users. Half of them created at least one story, and 40% of them return to Edgar every single day. It's all with zero advertising. We have 600 Facebook friends, so no advertising done yet. And this is why media like TechCrunch picked up our story, and this is why people love us. Because Edgar is simple, it's fast, it's even fun to use. You import your media and we do the magic behind it. And there's a call to action. No one has a call to action right inside your story. There's a sell link or a business card, so you can connect with your peers. And finally, we make sure that whatever you create, it looks and feels exactly the same wherever you put it. So our friend Drago now can communicate with his peers wherever they might be, on the mobiles, on web, on social media. There's always the call to action right inside. What does it mean for him is that his stories have a 98% higher conversion rate. And they're shared 12 times more than his previous awkward content. To put things in perspective, he's sold most of his wine for the season. That's a true story. And all that with no designers, no developers, no community managers needed. And this is why people like him pay us, and also not only individuals, but organizations. Like I said, we launched 3 months ago, and we made more than 3,000 euros in revenue. And this is just the beginning. We're building a marketplace where you could hire handpicked experts and buy assets for your stories. And this is our go-to-market. In the previous lives, we established networks like Google, Facebook, Twitter. We have organizations like National Geographic and Orioli joining us on a weekly basis. And this is finally the secret sauce. It's the team. We've been working together, created awesome products for the Fortune 500 for the past 7 years. And finally, we have awesome advisors and investors on board. Together with them, we already raised the first angel round of 60,000 euros. But in autumn, we'll be ready for a proper seed round to help us scale and grow. And now, finally, I invite you to join us on our quest to revolutionize the way of visual storytelling and help those lovely people stop going out of business. Thank you.
Thank you. One applause. I can see that you trained well. I mean, you were in second on time, so that's really good. Yeah, that's good. And now the questions. Do we have any questions? Who will be the first one?
I give wine for the green card.
Yeah.
So, if you give me the wine, my answer may change. No, seriously, how is this not just a website builder?
Sorry, I didn't hear.
How is this just not a website builder?
Yeah, it is. Actually, that's a really good question. We got asked a lot. We don't want to be a website builder because it's a huge market, and we don't have, if you put us like 2 million, we can be the best website builder you have ever seen. But we don't want to be a website builder because the small guys, they need a website, but they don't know how to make it. So they hire someone, pay 300 euros, and in 2 years, it's still this ugly website. So we just want to be a content marketing tool more than a website builder. But in the long run, we are a website builder. But we don't want to position ourselves as a, because then we go next to Weebly, Wix, but this we see as integrators of Edgar. So we work with WordPress already, we have a plugin. This is the people who are our channel, not the competitions.
Okay, Oliver?
So this guy builds this beautiful story, and then he puts it on Facebook. You put it on Facebook, and then what?
No,
because typically this guy has like 50 friends, and then 50 guys see this story, and then what?
Yeah, that's again a good question. We cannot provide channels for him. This is what we're doing. Like, we work with Alex Barrera and Press42 and those guys to help us do that. But what we provide him is less awkward messaging. So his fans he has already, his customers, they become fans. It's much easier for them to do the marketing for him. So, for example, wineries, they don't have the web presence, but they have the hipsters buying their wine and taking photos. And 60% of Instagram is branded. But those people, they don't know it. They still pay a fortune for this advertising business. And this is where we want to be in between. So, but it's a good question. We also get asked a lot. So.
Okay. Jure, question?
So is this a self-serve product, or how much manual work you have to do with your clients?
It's a self-serve, but we have the marketplace because we're still not with the product market fit. I would like to say we are there, but we are still testing with a couple of clients. So but we got asked a lot to help those people. Like we work, for example, with Beowog, the brewery here, and he's like, okay, it's really cool, but we need a bit more help with design as well. So we just connected them with our network of designers. So that's why we added the marketplace, which will launch in September. So.
Okay, Franco?
Do you have any idea about exit strategy? I mean,
yeah.
What you do with your company?
Actually, we do. We don't want to talk about it because we like the product. We created a bunch of products. That's why I quit my job and everybody else in the team. But the exit is actually for us, the generic answers are Facebook, Google Pluses of the world. But it's also we, for example, work with Evernote and Salesforce. So those people are of interest to us and us to them. Because either we sell content. Of course, a startup from Slovenia will never have a user base like Twitter has. But we have a good content and a contextual search. And this is our exit strategy.
Suggestion, refine this point, exit strategy, instead you will not have money.
Yeah. Good job.
The angels want the money back.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Okay, any other question?
Well,
Ash?
How do you actually measure if your customers are being successful? Like what's bringing them back, and how you measure success for them?
Yeah, the success for them, we offer them analytics. We measure them on our own, because they usually, like the SMEs, they don't like to measure stuff. They just want to work on it, and they hope that it will bring them something in return. But we measure the times the content is shared, and it backs the referral traffic. This is our KPIs for them. So this is how we measure success for us.
So is it working? Can you talk some about what those metrics look like with your existing customer base?
Yeah, like I showed with the case of the winery, we have a couple of users we work on a daily basis, but the others, if you're interested in statistics, I can show later like the retention rate and the number of shares, like the statistics is like 30 times per story. That's the number of shares on average. But we have the statistic. I didn't show it, yeah. But this is how we measure success.
Okay, any other question? Okay, thank you. And now voting, so please raise your cards. Green for hot, red for not. Okay.
Thank you, guys. You don't get the wine.
Here, a book for you.
Oh,
Jetmap. Jetmap, niskocenovci, the next company. Okay, please join us on the stage. Okay, the floor is yours. You have 5 minutes.
Hi, I'm Matevž from Jetmap, and we would like to help you to discover and compare any low-cost flight in Europe. So we'd like to help people like Mark. He wants to go to Berlin, and of course he wants to get there as cheap as possible. And the current plan, what he has, he goes on Skyscanner, tries Ljubljana, Berlin, and he gets 380 euros price for a one-way ticket. So he's not happy with that. So then he tries low cost, and he has to go on each website individually and see whether somebody is going to Berlin, and if it does, are they going, is there any airport that goes to Berlin nearby him? So of course he's not happy with this because the search takes more time than the flight takes. So we're in 2014 and he still has to do this, and I'd like to tell you a story why did this happen. This was the situation in the year 2002. There was only 9% of low-cost flyers, and services like Expedia, Kayak, Skyscanner started to pop up, and they all got hooked on global distribution systems which provide them with data and monetization capabilities. So, but they focus on only on full-service flights. And in this 12 years, the market has grown for 300% to 100 million passengers per year. And 2 years ago, the same data providers started to show up on the low-cost side, and also some solutions. So, of course, as you probably noticed, we want to focus on this market. We think that there's about 100 million euros per year in market for fees. First, we want to, in this year, we want to focus on 1 million and then on 15, and later on, we'd like to go on to another continents. So to test this hypothesis, we made a small MVP, how we would help Marko. So he just writes, I want to go from Ljubljana to Berlin, and it shows him the nearest direct low-cost connections to Berlin. And he can see now that instead of paying 380 euros for a one-way ticket to Berlin from Ljubljana, he can just drive to Klagenfurt, and he gets a ticket for 40 euros. So when we put out the MVP, we were happy with the results. More than 10,000 users visited us. They were more than 4 minutes on the site, and some media also published us. So what we want to do now is to improve our service. Most of the comments on the service were we would like prices and booking capabilities, so we would like to add the prices and also booking capabilities, which is also our business model, and so that you can also buy stuff that goes along with the trip, like a shuttle, a coupon, or a place to stay. This is the team, and we're really enthusiastic about this idea because we all share the same problem. We would like to empower all Europeans to easily find the really best and low-cost flight option. And in order to do this, we think we need around 100K. So we need it for the data, the booking capabilities, A/B testing. Maybe we'll buy an expensive domain and to do some marketing.
Okay, thank you. An applause. And now the questions, please. Who will be the first? Jan, please.
So first question, I assume that you scrape the web pages of the low-cost airliners to get the data, right?
Not us, we want to connect with somebody who already does that.
Okay, but there's no connection to the airliners directly with you.
Well,
so how will you make the money if you're not connected with them?
The guys that want to give us the booking, the data already, actually they just take your data that you put in and then just buy the ticket for you. But otherwise, yes, the low-cost airlines aren't very fond of cooperating with small businesses, and they will, like Ryanair, also didn't want anybody. Since like 2 months ago, they just decided they would go into global distribution system after 10 years. But otherwise, yeah, they're not that happy to do this.
So you're not scraping the websites, you're buying or getting
No,
the data from
yeah,
somebody
yeah.
else.
Our partner does scrape the website.
So what do you actually do on top of what your partner does? Why
Marketing.
aren't they in the same business, and why don't
Yeah,
they have the same product?
We're in the same. Yeah, we have a similar product, and we both want to do the same thing. So we talked about it, and we found out that it would be stupid for us to do the same technology stuff. So instead, we'll probably just cooperate, and we'll focus more on the market.
How's this different from kayak?
So, kayak, first it's a meta search. We would be an online travel agency because we would sell stuff. But otherwise, for searching low-cost airlines in Europe, you usually don't search, if you're not in a big city, from a specific destination to a specific destination on a specific date. But you usually take a look if you don't have any money. If you search for the cheapest option. So you usually look where is the nearest direct flight, because you don't bother to drive 1 hour, for instance, to Klagenfurt, and to save a lot of money.
Kayak has that option as well, right? So there's Kayak Buzz, right?
Kayak
where you can see where the cheap flights from which cities.
Kayak has a nearby option.
There's also like a Buzz option, like you have hotels, flights, etc., etc. And there's like Buzz, and you can see like which cities are connected for how much, when is the cheapest time to fly, when's the cheapest time to book.
Sorry,
I believe you have that option in Kayak, where you can see, independent of your dates and even cities, you can still see what are the cheapest flights from wherever you are, to wherever.
Even Skyscanner somehow has this possibility, but it's an additional feature. So we want to make a web service that is primarily made for that target market. It's more friendly for them.
Okay, Mark?
I think, so I used to work for Sidestep, which is bought by Kayak. I launched the Sidestep website very early on, so I know meta search very well. And I think you have 3 problems. One is that you will make 5 times as much off of hotels as you do off of flights. That's one of your problems. Second, you're going after the lowest end market in flights, which means that it's probably 10 times more in hotels, which means you're not going to make much money. And the third thing is you've got really stiff competition. I mean, we're talking something like Skyscanner, which just took $100 million and has Sequoia on the board, and could do this in the next 6 months if they really wanted to. So if I were you, I'd be really worried about A, making money with this business, and B, the defensibility of the business.
We were thinking in the beginning, why nobody hasn't done this yet. And people also asked us. And now we found out even before, you make much more on hotels and stuff, but we still want to do this because people, the users said they want this, so we're just going to try. And we think that there still is a big enough market for a few players, even on the low end. We just want to do this for the users.
Okay, thanks. And now the voting. So please raise your cards. Okay, here's a book. One applause. LACEnano. LACEnano is the next startup that will pitch. So the same rules apply. 5 minutes for the presentation, 5 minutes for Q&A. The floor is yours.
So, hello everyone. My name is Rok. I come from LACEnano, and we're building the only fully adjustable tattoo machine. So, first of all, let's meet Tamara. Tamara is a tattoo artist, and she loves everything about tattooing. She also uses a lot of different tattoo machines. The first reason is it depends on the stage of the tattoo. The next reason is she also collects them, like many other tattoo artists. But Tamara also has some problems with her machines. The first problem is cleaning. She cannot just put it in an autoclave, but she must clean it by hand after each tattoo session, which takes some time. The next problem is the tingling sensation that Tamara gets in her hands after tattooing for longer periods of time, which means that Tamara has to stop for an hour or even a day, so a loss of profit for her. And the third problem is adjustability. Why? Because Tamara wants to control how hard the needle hits the skin, which would make tattooing easier and faster. And that's why we built LACEnano. LACEnano has virtually no vibration, so no more tingling sensation for Tamara. It is also fully autoclavable, so no more cleaning by hand. And it's also fully adjustable, so Tamara can always control how hard the needle hits the skin. So how big is the tattoo market? The tattoo market is around $20 billion worldwide. There are around 200,000 official tattoo artists. An average artist owns 5 to 10 tattoo machines and buys 2 to 3 per year. Many of them are also tattoo machine collectors. So who are the biggest companies in this niche? There is Cheyenne and Stigma from Germany and Spectra from the United States. So who are we to make them run for their money? We're a team of 2 brilliant engineers, Peter the mechanical engineer and Robert the electrical engineer. We have Lara to make us look good and myself as team leader and marketing. So why will we beat our competition? As you can see from above, only LACEnano has low weight and low vibrations, it's fully autoclavable, and is fully adjustable for the hit. So how we have been doing for the last 2 months? Well, until now we have 122 tattoo artists subscribed to our MVP landing page. We have pre-sold more than 90 plus LACEnanos to some distributors. We also have 5 global opinion leaders waiting to test our machines and give it a review to more than 440,000 subscribers, which many of them are also tattoo artists. So currently we're getting our end product in 3 weeks. We're opening a company in the meantime, and we'll start the official pre-order campaign for what is left in the next 2 months. We limited the first batch to only 122 machines with our big budget marketing. So as you can see from above, an average LACEnano on the bigger production costs around 100 euros and is sold for 420 euros. So we have 320 euros of margin. So what's the plan for the future and why I'm here? Well, the biggest money is not in the tattoo machines, but it's needles. Why? Because an average tattoo artist spends around 900 euros per year for tattoo machines and 3,000 to 5,000 euros for needles. So that's why we're developing a custom upgrade to our LACEnano machines that will use custom cartridge needles, our cartridge needles. But to do that, we need an investment. We need an investment to fully develop it and bring it to the market. We also need investment to do it as quick as possible, catch the wave, and for tools and medical certificates. So that's why we're raising 400,000 euros to get that quickly done. So we are LACEnano. We're bringing the fully adjustable tattoo machine and custom cartridge needles to the market. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Applause. Okay, usually people pitching are always, taking more time, but you are all 1 minute or 2 minutes early, so that's good. We have more time for the questions. So Max.
What is autoclavable? You mentioned autoclavable a couple of times.
Autoclavable, yeah. The medical machines, when you use them, autoclave is a small oven for them. So you just put it inside. It goes from like 135 degrees Celsius and vapor inside. So other machines cannot use it because we use different technology. They're all magnets, magnetic drive and magnetic motor, so they're not harmed. If they use the regular machines, they have inside brushes. They are from copper and they oxidize, so they can do that.
Okay, Mark?
How many tattoos do you have?
Tattoos, yeah, that's a big, none. That's.
I actually was serious about that. I mean, it sort of shows passion around the product and the market. I mean, I'm surprised you don't have one.
Yeah.
How did you get into this then?
Well, actually, like 5 months ago, the mechanical engineer Peter came to us and told, I was at the tattoo convention and my girlfriend went tattooing. And I didn't, I like tattoos, but so what? No. So I went to the tattoo artist around and just asked him, oh, cool, how do machines work? What's the problems? And found different problems. Then, designed one and, he left it. So we met at the startup weekend and Startup Now Mesto. I was his mentor for the business part and I like it. But the most important thing, I like his passion, He said, this is the design that is solving these problems, And when we tested on the market, all his assumptions were true. And that was very inspiring for me, to find someone like that. Even though he's a mechanical engineer, he saw that problem solution must always be. So.
Franco?
Is the machine patented?
Well, there's the catch. We tested it, but it cannot be patented. We use brushless motors, which are commonly used for like 20 years, and the magnetic drive technology is used 20 years in water pump systems. So it's common known. It was never patented, so we cannot patent it.
Are you sure that you are not infringing someone else's patent?
Yes, we tested that the first
That you
time.
tested?
Yes, that's the first time.
Second question, do you need any FDA homologation, something like that?
FDA for?
Food and drugs, like a medical device, because it's a needle.
Yes, that's why we're raising that money, because for these machines, we only need like 5,000 euro from CE and FCA certificates. But when it comes to the handle and the needle, it's medical, so it's like 50,000 euros each. That's why the money is so big, because even if we develop it, the papers are the most expensive part.
But you cannot sell it before having it.
Well, first of all, we just build the machine. So regular needles or handles can be attached to it. This is standard. Just the machine has that value proposition and solves that problems. But we also found out that we can upgrade to this system. That is a trend that is growing in the last years rapidly. So this removable cartridge needles.
Eventually I will give you money, but not my body, until it's tested.
Okay. Applause. Ash?
So yeah, maybe as a follow-up to that, I'd like to hear what is your customer acquisition strategy? So how do you get this in front of all these tattoo artists, since you don't have tattoos yourself?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Actually, when we assemble a team, all we have was these two visualizations. So I went all, just testing the market, knowing to know. So I introduced some tattoo artists, make some polls that went globally, and they were actually very kind. All the prices, they say, okay, this is how much I spent for the tattoos. This is how much money I'm getting. So could you just repeat the question?
So I mean, there's a very small percentage of people that you currently have that you reached, but
oh, yeah,
so I guess the question is, where do these folks hang out? How do you get this device in front of them? All of those.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's the point. We figured out that this is a small niche, and it is controlled by distributors. So actually, when we test the MVP, so we're like, oh, I like to have it. Oh, you're copying. Oh, this is awesome. And then a few distributors call us, say, okay, when we'll pre-order, we don't need to see it. In real life, we will just pre-order it. And then, okay, just from Netherlands, Germany, they called. They're all friends, know each other, each for a separate market. And the catch is this: they actually control the market, because all the tattoo conventions in a country is made by their official distributor. So in Germany, there's a distribution firm that has 15 people, and they make like 50 tattoo conventions per year, and all the blogs and magazines are owned by them. So that was the catch, and they, because you give them percentage, but they sell your product. They're all in for business. So that's what we found out.
Any other questions? Okay, then voting. Let's start with the voting. So green for hot, red for not. Okay, please. Okay, that's good. Here, a book for you. Okay. Orioli. I hope I pronounced the name of the startup. Okay. So you have 5 minutes for the pitch and then Q&A, please.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Hello, my name is Ivan. I'm founder of Orioli, and we're helping tour agencies worldwide in creating great tours. So I would like you to meet Nick. Nick is a great guy. He has a small tour agency with 5 employees, and what they love to do is create great travel experience. Last year, they went on a tour called 90 Days Around the World, and they traveled across 5 continents with the customers. It was amazing. It was a blast. This is a picture from Peru, Machu Picchu. And this is what they really love to do, create and share great travel experience. What Nick doesn't like is this sexy screen which he's facing every single day. You see, like most small tour agencies worldwide, he's not using any kind of enterprise software for several reasons. It's too complex, it's too expensive, it's not mobile, so he doesn't know what's happening with his business while he's doing a tour. And he has this scattered data across a bunch of devices, PDFs, folders, emails. He doesn't have any IT department. It's hard for him to gather this information, put it online, and start selling online, which is really frustrating for him. So why doesn't he like Orioli? Orioli is a software service solution which helps me manage his tours, tour costs, contacts, bookings, anytime, anywhere. And by using Orioli, he can transform his old website that looks something like this into something like this, without any need of IT support. Orioli helps him save time, save money, helps him focus on creating great tours. Also, he can share his tours with his partners. And at the end of the day, he's happy because he's focused on creating great travel experience. Now, on the other hand, there is a guy like Mike who has a really sexy website, and he says, well, I have a website, and all I need is a booking component. And I said, okay, you have really sexy design, it's true, but I don't know what's happening. But if you add just a snippet of code, you will have a booking component as well. So he will have a sexy website, he will have booking, and he'll be happy. Now, Nick and Mike, they are not alone. Every fifth tour agency in the world is one little Nicky. Now what's happening? Plus, any travel website that wants to share this, this travel offer. No, I'm not. Let's try it again. So every fifth tour agency in the world is one little Nicky. Let's try again. Okay, cool. Back on the track. Plus, every travel website blog can take this tour offer, put it online, and resell it. Since Orioli is a software as a service solution, our business model is based on a monthly or annual subscription. We offer two choices. Agencies can use it as a business tool or a business tool with a website builder. Plus, we get additional revenue from booking fee by affiliates. There are other competitors on the market as well. But what makes Orioli different is because in order to use it, you only need a browser. It works anywhere, anytime. You just need an internet connection. You can start selling online in a matter of minutes, and you really don't need any IT support. What's our status? We launched Orioli last fall. We have more than 300 registered agencies in our system from 55 countries. At the moment, we have 15 paying customers. We plan to launch a web builder component next month. And somewhere in January, we plan to have 200 paying customers. It's an important point for us because at that point, we'll be at break-even point. We're currently seeking an investment of 100,000 euros, which will help us improve our product, boost our marketing and sales strategy, and create partnerships and memberships in tour industry. So this is Orioli team. 4 handsome gentlemen. I'm Ivan, founder research graduate from Croatia. Nikola and Ivica are our tour IT guys. Goran is our marketing guy. Plus, we have advisory board guys from tour industry who are helping us reach customer needs and to help them create great tours.
Thank you. Applause, please. And now the questions. Who will be the first one? Okay, Rumen.
Hi, what is the innovative element here? What is the
Sorry.
what's the innovation here? What is the rocket science in this project?
What's different? Well, most of these solutions that we came across are mostly suitable for big tour agencies. When you have a big company with hundreds of employees, this system is not suitable for small businesses. Most of these solutions are usable on desktop. And we are focused that our small tour agency has all their business on their laptop or their desktop or their tablet or their mobile phone. And usually these solutions do not work on these devices. We're trying to make something that's really suitable for this niche. Because at the end of the day, they really need something like this. So I would say this is something that's really different, and our focus is on this target market.
Okay. Ash?
And can you talk about some validation? So when I saw your last slide, is the MVP launched? Do you have customers? Well, I guess you had paying customers.
Yeah.
But can you talk more about like what's the before and after story there? Like before using you and after using your solution? I guess for the customers, is their life better using your solution? Are they retained? Are they paying? What are they asking for that maybe you're not providing today?
Okay, so before they start using Orioli, they spent, for example, this guy Nick. They are a small business, and he spent 2 or 3 hours per day each night just to check. I check his email, partner's email, see what's the status of this booking, this tour. They spent lots of time working something which is really boring, annoying, stressful. This is not their business. And later on, they realized they are spending less time doing this, rather than that they are doing marketing on Facebook, on social networks, and they're focused on creating a great experience. So they're not bothered by this boring work.
Okay, any other question? Okay, Oliver?
Yeah, so we are actually, for disclosure, we are an investor in TourRadar. TourRadar is an Austrian startup that has basically built an aggregation site like Expedia specifically for small tour operators. So they collected 500 of these small tour guys. And what we learned, I mean, the main issue that they have is actually being discovered and getting audience to their site or to their tours. I'm not so sure that so to say, the ERP side of things is their core pain point, or do I miss something here?
Okay.
Maybe you guys merge.
Yeah,
put you in touch.
Maybe we could.
Okay, Jure, you have a question?
No, I had a similar question actually, but who are the affiliates in this business for you?
Who are?
Who are affiliates? I mean, you're sharing. You said that you're sharing part of your fees with affiliates.
Well, this affiliate system is not implemented yet. We plan to launch it at fall.
Okay,
but
who will be the affiliate?
But we realized most of these companies have 1 of 2, 3, 5, 6 online partners, websites, travel bloggers, and they are interested in selling this travel offer. But since these companies don't have any IT background and IT support, we can offer them just by using some kind of snippet of code. They can add it on their blog, website, and they can start selling online. So basically, affiliates are travel website, portals, something like that. They can start using. It's not just that they can connect to one agency. They can, for example, say we want to add a tour offer from sport tourism, something like that. So I can pick a category, and all this content will be available on their website.
Okay, thank you. And now the voting, please raise the boards. Oh, sorry, man. You get the book, so after you will sell your company and score big money, you can learn Slovenian. It's.
Is there any version on Croatian?
Sorry, what was the question?
Is there a version of Croatian? No?
Iteration?
In Croatian language.
Yeah, there is, yes.
Okay, but you still get the Slovenian version, so you can learn Slovenian language. Okay, the last startup, Via, one more, and then we're finished. So 10 more minutes, 5 minutes for the pitch, 5 minutes for the Q&A.
Hey, I'm Tadej, and I would like to present Via. It's not showing.
We need help.
Well, Via is the energy-saving remote control of your building, and every building, every commercial building, has one building management system that helps them control the building, and an energy management system that helps them reduce the cost of energy. But the problem of these systems is that they're increasingly complex. They usually integrate too many devices with too many features, offering too many options. So steering a building towards energy efficiency becomes increasingly hard. And because it's hard, building managers stop doing it, buildings start losing energy, and building owners start losing money. Which is kind of ironic, because they bought a building management system in the first place in order to prevent this. So what did we do? We completely reimagined the experience of managing a building. We took the key features of energy management and put them together with the key features of building management into a single product. This is how we could shorten the distance between insight and action and make energy-saving behavior really simple and efficient. Via is focusing on micro-savings, a lot of micro-savings, because we believe that those little savings eventually add up, and by the end of the month, by the end of the year, they represent a significant share. Via allows a commercial building owner not only to control and monitor temperature, ventilation, air conditioning, light, shades, etc., but has also some key features that enable it to save energy through one-taps. We individually sit down with building owners and customize those features in order to maximize their energy-saving potential. We also provide engine room insights with live data that people can act upon. And we've built in notifications. If something goes wrong in the building, if we spot an opportunity to save energy, we'll notify you. The same way we'll notify you if something goes wrong, because these faults can usually go undetected for months. How can we do this? We've developed the ViaApp server, which is our only piece of hardware that we're connecting to the existing automation system in the building. This little device collects all the data from the building and pushes it to the cloud, which makes our solution mobile and available from anywhere. It's really important to know that we're piggybacking on the existing automation systems. Because we're supporting major standard industry protocols, we're hardware independent, and this allows us to be compatible instantly with major providers of automation hardware. And this gives us the opportunity not to tackle only new buildings, but also the existing buildings on the market. Every year, approximately 170,000 commercial buildings are being constructed in the US, and there are already 4.9 million office buildings that already exist. Because this is a big market, we'll try to approach it in three ways. First, it's directly through us. Second, through building integrators, the companies that integrate automation, and we're going to open up the API. So developers will be able to build their own products upon Via. Our business model consists of a one-time cost for software, hardware, and configuration, and of a monthly cost for the cloud fee and some additional services that we provide. Our competition mainly offers building management systems and energy management systems as two separate products. They're much more focused on macro savings, and in comparison to Via, they're rather expensive. Our track record till now, we launched in October, we slightly pivoted in January and focused only on commercial buildings, and our biggest achievement till date is that we've been selected by the TNW conference to be the top 10 among 1,300 startups. The vision of our company is data-driven. We want to aggregate data from buildings that share similar characteristics. We believe that we need to develop predictive algorithms that will allow these buildings to learn from each other and to collectively form energy patterns that can serve them all. We've opened up the waiting list for a 3-month trial, so I encourage you all, go online and sign up if you have a building and test Via. And with this in mind, I would like to invite you all to help us and conquer the energy problems in buildings with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. One applause. And now the questions. Mark?
So I don't know a lot about building management, so where do these savings come from? Like, can you give 2 or 3 examples of what the system will do to save money here or there?
Yeah, for example, if you have on the south side of a commercial building, if you have sun coming in directly, and if you reduce this decision to a simple decision to put all the shades down on this side, will reduce the need for cooling of the building. For example, this is one example of a micro saving.
Okay. Questions? Okay. Franco,
you will be successful if you will be global.
Yes.
But this is a super crowded market. There are plenty, you sign Siemens and whatsoever, but we have Nest that has been sold. Really, what is your USP? Why you are better than? Because if you will stay, let's say, in Slovenia, Croatia, even if east of Italy is not enough.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. We need to tap this globally. First of all, we're only focusing on commercial buildings, and we believe that predictive algorithms that we're going to develop and try to make the database so big that the buildings are going to create value by learning from each other. This can be our long-term advantage that we could somehow tackle big competitors like Siemens.
Well, I guess I was just going to ask about that short-term differentiation. So is it you're betting it on having just better algorithms than everyone else?
At the moment, our short-term differentiation would be the user experience of the product, because when we talked to users, when we spoke to them and watched how they used it, we realized that many of those people that have a super expensive energy and building management system, they don't actually use it because it's so complex that they get lost in the complexity. Or they would need a one-time person doing a full-time job just to make these all things work. So we try to really take the key things that are manageable and that can be reduced into simple decisions that can be managed through the day. So it's about reducing complexity.
Thank you. Now the voting, please. Green for hot, red for not. Okay. Here, a book for you. Okay. We still have several things to do and just 5 minutes left. So the first thing, Ash and Mark, I have a question for you. Mark, Ash, if you compare our pitches to the pitches in Silicon Valley and in US, what would you say? Are we good? Are we far behind? What would be the realistic feedback?
Me?
Yeah, you and Ash.
Go first.
Okay. Well, so I'm not from Silicon Valley, so I haven't seen a lot, but I get the gist of your question, and I would say that I find that all pitches, even in Silicon Valley, can be really, really bad, but there are certainly certain aspects here that could be coachable. So I feel like there's a lot of room for improvement, but I wouldn't say that that's just a local problem here. I see that everywhere.
Okay, Mark, anything to add?
I don't know if this is the effect of the internet telling people what to put in a pitch, or maybe this is just on this particular one, but I found like the pitches all followed kind of the right formula, even if at the end of the day there was no differentiation or there really was no business plan or whatever, but at least they kind of followed the right format. So at least that aspect of pitching is improved.
Okay, cool, thanks. I have one more book left. I have to tell you that the book will be available to you for free in the PDF version, thanks to Samo and Lisa Login. You know, the Outfit 7, the company who made the Talking Friends. So one big applause. You will get the book for free. The print version is €9.90. I have one more left. For one question, the first one who will ask anyone on the stage gets the book. So where do I see the hand? Anyone? Come on, one question for any one of our guests for the book.
I have a question.
Okay, there's a question.
Here's a question for Mike. You went to Stanford, right?
I'm Mark, but yes.
Yeah, I said Mark. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I thought you said Mike. People have called me Mike all my life, so I'm used to it.
No, it's Mark. You look a lot like Mark Zuckerberg, so that's
This is how, even in an airport, like once some woman came up to me, she said, I just have to ask you, are you Mark Zuckerberg?
So my question is, how did Stanford influence your entrepreneurial mindset? So what was it at Stanford University that made you an entrepreneur?
I don't think there's anything particular about Stanford. I think it's one of the myths of the Silicon Valley is somehow like Stanford does something to you. But what it does do is it exposes you to a lot of people who are entrepreneurs. So I was really lucky. I joke that I went to Stanford University, but I also learned everything I knew about business at University. So a good friend of mine and mentor, Hugh Dubberly, former creative director at Apple. At the time I met him, he was a creative director at Netscape. So I used to go to these dinners at his house, maybe twice a month on Sundays, where I learned a lot about food and wine and the Netscape business and redesigning Netscape and the most important page on the Netscape site, which is search.netscape.com, and seeing my Netscape grow up. And sort of those interactions with Hugh and many of the other people that I met were much, much more important than any class I took at Stanford or any person even that I met at Stanford. So I think it's really just
Stanford's advantage is its proximity to the Silicon Valley. Nothing special about the red tile roofs at Stanford.
Okay, thank you. And now the last thing, the awards. First, the question for Matevž. We decided that the voucher for 5,000 euros will get the company which design accelerator can help the most to do a really great progress in a short time. So Matevž, which company did you choose to help them accelerate their progress?
Yeah, as you said, we're thinking about where can we add the most value by design, and we'll go for the underdogs. We love underdogs. We'll go for the, was it Jetmap or something like that?
Cool, applause for Jetmap. So, congratulations. Davor, could you join me? Davor is the CEO with Mercury International, and the company that will get the sales coaching is?
It's Via.
Via, okay, so one applause for the Via. And the winner of the PODIM challenge is LACEnano. So, LACEnano, could you join me on the stage, please? Okay. Ash, may I ask you for the picture with him as a winner? That will be, your ticket for tomorrow's workshop. You can bring the whole team. So just here, congratulations.
And get a tattoo.